So today we're going to talk about the chop saw, also a metal cutoff saw. It's a pretty simple tool to use, one that you're going to have in the shop to do a lot of things with. One of the things with this type of saw is that they're great for making quick cuts and burning through and cutting metal and stuff, but because of the type of saw it is, it doesn't necessarily always make some of the squarest cuts. And so if you need really precise cuts in your shop, you may want to use a metal cutting bandsaw or some other kinds of metal cutting tools. But this will be great for a lot of applications and things that you're doing, and students can use it and work pretty quickly. It's a pretty straightforward tool. If you come and take a look, it's usually stored in the down position like this. To store it in the up position, all you do is just unhook this little chain, and then you lift up the saw. The saw has a small spark guard here, carbide blade, regular handle with the trigger right here, and then the work clamps in right here. This is a pretty easy clamp to use. You can cut angled cuts with it. You can see if you adjust and loosen this bolt right here, this will turn, and you can do up to 45-degree angles, and then this piece turns also. To put the work in, it's pretty easy. You can flip this piece up right here, then this slides freely, and so depending on what size you want to use, you can do that pretty easy. We're going to cut this piece of angle iron today. The angle iron will go in kind of in the tent position like that, and so when you make your cut, your blade's going to come down and cut here and then cut it the rest of the way off. But basically you just lay your piece wherever you want to cut, and then you've got this flipped up. You can slide your clamp in tight against the work on the table, push this down, and then finish tightening snug with the crank right here. Other than that, as long as you make sure and inspect your blade, make sure that there's no chips or anything in it, and that it spins freely and doesn't wobble and stuff before you go to cut, that's the steps to cutting. What I'm going to do next is, I know that's where I want to make my cut. I'm going to turn this on, let it come to full operating speed. I'm going to just check it, make sure it's not wobbling or anything, and I'm going to make my cut. When I make my cut, I'm just going to go down steady and even pressure, and if it feels like the blade may bind a little bit, I may have to lift up once or something, but I'm just going to cut this piece off. It is going to throw a fair amount of sparks, and so for that you usually want to wear the face shield, just like some of the other tools that you use when cutting metal and working with it. But other than that, we'll go ahead and get started. I'll put this on. Now, just like if you're using a miter saw or something like that, the same thing is the case. You saw that I didn't lift this back up until it came to a complete stop. Once that saw blade came to a complete stop, then I was able to raise it back up. I can then move my pieces away. You may want to have a pair of pliers or vice grips to move pieces, because they do tend to get hot when being cut with this type of tool. Other than that, that's the steps to using the chop saw or the metal cutoff saw. The only thing left to do is to take the pieces out, and then before you walk away, make sure you store that back down in the down position.